There are a lot of shows and episodes of shows that no longer exist, and this is already tiring enough to talk about in such big individual sections. So I've decided to narrow it down just a little so I can properly get through it and give you a further idea of how much television history has been lost in the UK. The Army game precedes Dad's Army as one of the earliest situation comedies with a military setting. Broadcast from the 19th of June 1957 to the 20th of June 1961, it is mostly well known for featuring William Hartnell in one of his earliest television roles as Sergeant Major Percy Bullimore, a role he played only during the first and last seasons for a limited number of episodes. The show focused on the exploits of Hut 29, a dysfunctional group of soldiers and their national service conscription into the British Army during the post-war years. Of the 154 episodes made, 52 are thought to survive. Network previously released the surviving episodes in volumes until the Army Game collection, containing every surviving episode, was released on the 13th of August 2008. The hit espionage program The Avengers has gone down as a culturally significant, action-packed spy show for all to enjoy. The first season of the show is unfortunately incomplete. Of the 26 episodes produced during 1961, only 3 full episodes are known to exist, with an additional 4th episode only existing as a 20-minute reel composing the entire first act. Acts 2 and 3 are missing. The most recent recovery was Tunnel of Fear, which was recovered as a pristine 16mm telerecording copy recovered from a private collection. All episodes were originally broadcast live, so it's difficult to say just how many additional episode copies could be out there. The Cliff Richard Show featured Cliff Richard. 3 episodes were produced, one in 1969 and 2 in 1970, and only one exists as a black and white telerecording, having originally been made on 2-inch colour videotape. The other 2 are lost. Lunchbox was a soap opera that lasted for 1,334 episodes. None of them are known to have survived. Although the 1967 adaptation of Great Expectations is complete and available on DVD, the 1959 adaptation, which was also rebroadcast in 1960, is miraculously only missing 1 episode, Part 8. The DVD release is said by a reviewer on Archive Television Musings to be unforeseeable unless the lost episode is recovered, although Part 1 is available for free viewing at the BFI Mediatek. The other 11 episodes that survived are only viewable as videotape copies, which can only be seen by booking a session at the BFI's Stephen Street venue in central London. Meet Peters and Lee was an ITV sitcom broadcast in 1976. Little is known about it, with one key bit of information being the first episode's broadcast date. All 6 episodes are believed to have been destroyed. Thingamybob was an 8-episode ITV sitcom starring Stanley Holloway. The plot was as follows. Bob Bridge is an adventurous old man who's always got a scheme or two he has to get involved in. No episodes are known to have survived. Saturday Variety was, you guessed it, a Saturday night variety show. No episodes are missing, but one only exists as a black and white 16mm film copy, having originally been made on 2-inch colour tape. 199 Park Lane was a soap opera aired on BBC One in 1965, airing twice a week for 9 weeks, totaling 18 episodes. It was set in a luxury block of flats in London. Only 2 episode titles are known, those being the first 2 episodes. The New Tenant and Decision. The series was wiped by the BBC and all episodes are considered lost. Abigail and Roger was a soap opera written by Kelvin Sheldon. The programme saw Julie Webb and David Drummond play Abigail and Roger, an engaged couple living in London bedsits. Abigail is a shorthand typist, who is outspoken and very capable domestically. She can mend a fuse, cook, drive, and so on. Roger works in the city and is into keeping fit and planning for their future. Much of the humour arose from the different attitudes to life, and their interest in the attractions of London. The show was originally meant to run for 13 weeks, as a summer replacement for the soap opera The Grove Family, but it in fact only ran for 9 weeks. The entire series is thought to be lost. The Time Machine was the first ever visual adaptation of the famous novella by H.G. Wells, broadcast live from Alexandra Palace on the 25th of January 1949. It starred Russell Napier as the time traveller and Mary Donn as Weena. No recording of this live broadcast was made. The only record of the production is the script and a few black and white still photographs taken behind the scenes as it was being shown. A reading of the script, however, suggests that this teleplay remained fairly faithful to the book. Market in Honey Lane was an ATV British television weekly series, which switched to a twice-weekly soap opera format after the first year. It was shown at varying times around ITV regions, broadcast between April 1967 and March 1969. This Cockney drama was set in an East London market and covered the traders and customers. It was created by Lewis Marks. 13 of the original 91 episodes are missing from the archives, all of which stem from Series 2 between late 1967 and early 1968. Anna Wing also appeared in it. She would later find fame as Lou Beale in the BBC soap opera EastEnders, which was also set in the East End of London. Market in Honey Lane was recorded at ATV Elstree, the same studio complex that is now home to EastEnders. Another soap opera connection is that Ray Lonnan would go on to star in Crossroads, but in the Carlton Television-produced Crossroads of 2001. New Faces was a British television talent show that aired in the 1970s and 1980s. It has been hosted by Leslie Crowther, Derek Hobson, and Marty Kane. It was produced by ATV for the ITV network. 4 judges would make up the panel each week. Contestants receive marks out of 10 from the 4 judges in 3 categories such as presentation, content, and star quality. The star quality category was later replaced by entertainment value. The highest score any act could attain was thus 120 points. Patty Boulay was the only act who ever attained the maximum mark, doing so in the show's final season. Les Dennis received 111 points, with only Tony Hatch giving him less than a perfect 10 for presentation. Arthur Askey was on the same panel and started singing "Tony is a Spoilt Sport" when Hatch awarded Dennis 9 in his final score. Of the 166 episodes, 131 are missing. Faces of Jim was a black and white British comedy series starring Jimmy Edwards, June Whitfield, and Ronnie Barker, with each episode being an individual half-hour sitcom. The first series aired as The 7 Faces of Jim, the second as 6 More Faces of Jim, and the third series as More Faces of Jim. All the episodes were written by Frank Muir and Dennis Norden. While the first series and the 1964 Christmas short exist in full, the second and third series were discarded by the BBC in the 1970s, and remain missing to this day. Some existing footage from the second series was used in a Comedy Classics of the 60s compilation VHS by Watershed Entertainment. The Adventure Game was a game show where 2 celebrity contestants and a member of the public had travelled by spaceship to the planet Arg. Their overall task varied with each series. For example, the team might be charged with finding a crystal needed to power their ship to return to Earth. The program is often considered to have been a forerunner to the Crystal Maze. Fortunately, only 2 episodes, one from Series 1 and the other from Series 2, are missing from the BBC archives. 20 remain intact. Café Continental was a British television variety show on the BBC television service from 1947 to 1953. Broadcast live from the BBC studios at Alexandra Palace, the programme opened with a maître d'hôtel known as Père Auguste, who welcomed the television audience to the café set and told them that "your table has been reserved as always." 3 scattered episodes from 1950, either kept on tape or as early telerecording experiments, are known to exist, all introduced by Helena Cordet. Steptoe and Son is miraculously not missing any episodes, one of very few BBC series produced during the 60s to exist as such, but some only exist as black and white film copies, the original colour versions thought to be lost. Although Philip Morris has mentioned he is in the process of recovering said episodes in their original colour format, meaning that they may very well still be out there somewhere on domestic tapes that were capable of catching colour, or he was referring to a chromadot or manual colorization of the existing copies. It's also worth noting that the only reason some of the earlier episodes from the 60s exist is because an engineer used a Shibaden SV700 half-inch reel-to-reel video recorder, a forerunner of the videocassette recorder, to create copies from the master tapes for the head writers and creators, Ray Galton and Alan Simpson. Clough was a BBC TV detective television series set in the fictional town of Gunnershaw in the Yorkshire Dales. Based on the eponymous novels by Gil North, it featured Leslie Sands in the title role as Sergeant Caleb Clough, and ran for 2 series between 1964 and 1965. The series was filmed around Skipton, North's hometown. The entire first series, including the pilot, is missing from the BBC archives, but the second series has survived in full. The script for all episodes of the 2-part series were written by North himself, and still exist to this day. The Culture Vultures was a British sitcom that aired on BBC One in 1970. The series starred Leslie Phillips as a university lecturer, and 3 episodes were co-written by Tim Brooke-Taylor. The Culture Vultures was originally going to be piloted in Comedy Playhouse, but it was decided it was good enough to go straight to a series. After the 2nd episode, the lead Leslie Phillips collapsed with an internal hemorrhage. The show was about Dr. Michael Cunningham, a senior lecturer in anthropology at the University of Hampshire. A gambler and womanizer, his quest for an easy life is frequently interrupted by his friends and colleagues. His casual attitude leads to clashes with his seniors. He enjoys the campus nightlife and is always looking for an opportunity to travel. The entire Culture Vulture series was wiped and is no longer thought to exist. Dead of Night is a British television anthology series of supernatural fiction, produced by the BBC and broadcast on BBC Two in 1972. Dead of Night only ran for a single series in autumn. Of its 7 50-minute episodes, only 3, The Exorcism, Return Flight, and A Woman Sobbing, are known to exist today in the BBC's archives. Another programme made by the Dead of Night production team under Innes Lloyd, The Stone Tape, running to 90 minutes and intended to be the 8th episode, does survive in the archives, but was not broadcast under the Dead of Night banner. BBC4 rebroadcast The Exorcism on the 22nd of December 2007. The surviving episodes were released on DVD by the BFI in October 2013, with extras including a gallery of stills from the missing episodes, downloadable scripts for all missing episodes, and a booklet featuring essays and biographies by Lisa Kerrigan, Oliver Wake, Derek Johnston, and Alex Davidson. The Disorderly Room is a musical comedy sketch written by the actor and writer Eric Blore during the First World War. It was first performed at the Victoria Palace Theatre, London, in 1919, and starred Blore, Stanley Holloway, Tom Walls, Leslie Henson, and Jack Buchanan. The sketch consists of a supposed military disciplinary proceedings put to the tunes of popular songs of the day. The sketch was taken up by the comedian Tommy Handley, who performed it, in the words of his biographer, on every musical stage in the country. He performed it at the Royal Command performance at the London Coliseum in 1924. Handley subsequently performed the sketch on 8 occasions on radio and 4 times on television between 1926 and 1939. With an unnamed supporting cast, he recorded the sketch for the Zonophone label in 1927. The recording has been reissued on LP and CD. All known televised performances were broadcast live, so no video recordings are thought to exist. Don't Spare the Horses was a British television comedy series which aired on the BBC during 1952. It featured Jimmy James, Harry Secombe, Peter Sellers, and Spike Milligan. It aired live for 3 episodes. These live transmissions were not recorded and are considered lost. Don't Look Now was a British television programme which aired in 1950 on the BBC, starring Alfred Marks. All 6 episodes broadcast live are missing, believed lost. The Mask of Janus is a British television series produced by the BBC in 1965 and starred Dinsdale Landon as counter-espionage agent Richard Cadell. The series was set in the fictional European country of Amalia and dealt with the political interests of the British, American, and communist espionage communities within. Eschewing the action formula of its ITV contemporaries, i.e. Danger Man and the early seasons of the Avengers, the series dealt with more politically oriented plots, such as defections to the West, awakening sleeper agents, and the leaking of official secrets. As of 2009, 7 of the original episodes of this programme are still missing from the BBC archives. A spin-off also starring Landon, called The Spies, was a more conventional espionage thriller, being more explicitly concerned with the actual operations of British Secret Service agents stationed in the fictional European country. Most of The Spies was also wiped, presumably in the 1970s, and only 1 episode is thought to exist. Made by Hand was a 1949 to 1951 British television series which aired on the BBC. According to listings in the Radio Times, it was a series showing the work of British craftsmen. It aired in a 15-minute time slot. It was broadcast live and no recording is thought to have ever existed. The Man of Destiny aired as a live broadcast by the BBC in 1939 and is believed to be lost. Spoiled was originally a play written for the BBC's The Wednesday Play series, broadcast first on the 28th of August 1968, and again on the 9th of July 1969. It was directed by Waris Hussein of Doctor Who fame and produced by Graham MacDonald. The telerecording copy is no longer thought to exist, effectively making the play lost. Sykes and a ... is a black and white British sitcom starring Eric Sykes and Hattie Jenkins that aired on BBC One from 1960 to 1965. It was written by Eric Sykes, John Antrobus, and Spike Milligan. Spikes and a ... was the first television series to feature both Sykes and Jacques, who later starred in Sykes and a Big Show and Sykes. Eric is an accident-prone, childlike man who lives with his twin sister Hattie in a terraced house, 24 Sebastopol Terrace in East Acton. Both are unmarried. Their busybody neighbour Charles Brown often interfered, until he emigrated to Australia. The local policeman, who made occasional appearances, was Corky Turnbull. Out of the 59 episodes, 34 have been lost, as well as the 1962 Christmas Night with the Stars short. Sykes and a Big Show is missing 3 of its 6 episodes. The first, Shipwreck, still exists as a black and white telerecording. The second, Concord, exists as a VHS copy held by the BFI. The BBC also holds a digital copy. The third episode, Guest, still exists on original 625-line PAL colour videotape. Sykes is not missing any episodes, but Series 1, Episode 14, titled Journey, only exists as a black and white telerecording. In the Zone, a play by Eugene O'Neill, was adapted by the BBC in 1946. It was broadcast live and no recording is thought to exist. Kenilworth is a British television series which aired in 1957 on the BBC television service. An adaptation of the 1821 novel of the same title by Sir Walter Scott, it consisted of 6 30-minute episodes. The series is missing, believed lost. It was a historical drama set during the reign of Elizabeth I and portraying several well-known figures from the era. The cast included Paul Eddington, Anthony Newlands, Anne Furbank, and Robin Bailey. Champion House is a BBC television drama series. The series dealt with the Yorkshire-based Champion family, and the dramas surrounding the family textiles firm Champion Mills. 2 series were made between 1967 and 1968. Champion House was created by Hazel Adair and Peter Ling, who had previously devised Compact and Crossroads. The series was a total casualty of the BBC's wiping policy, and none of the 30 episodes are known to have survived. Cabaret was a live television variety programme, broadcast by BBC Television between 1936 and 1939, and again in 1946. It was devised by Dallas Bauer and later developed by Harry Pringle, who also produced 68 episodes. The first episode of Cabaret was shown on the 7th of November, and subsequent airings ensured that this was the first television series ever. Around 280 performing acts appeared in Cabaret over the 5 years in which it was broadcast. It was sadly broadcast live, however, and no recording is thought to have ever existed. The show had many spin-offs, but none of them are thought to exist either. Although unreleased, the 1956 Jane Eyre adaptation survives intact, while the 1963 serial is missing 2 of its episodes. The BBC adapted Nicholas Nickleby in the 1950s and 60s respectively. Firstly in 1957, starring Doctor Who icon William Russell. All 10 episodes are believed to be lost, and no photographs exist online. The 1968 serial starring Martin Jarvis exists in its entirety, but has never been released onto VHS or DVD. Not even in 2017, when Simply Media began releasing all surviving Dickens adaptations by the BBC on DVD. It remains publicly unavailable. Star and Company was a BBC television drama series aired in 1958. It was a soap opera aired 2 times a week, Monday and Thursday. 77 episodes were made, of which only a single episode, episode 1, is known to survive. Timeslip is a children's science fiction series made by ATV for the ITV network, originally aired between 1970 and 1971, created by Ruth and James Boswell. The series is centered on 2 children, Simon Randall and Liz Skinner, who discover the existence of a strange anomaly known as the Time Barrier, which enables them to travel in time and visit the past and alternative futures. Originally conceived as a 6-part serial before being expanded into a full series, no episodes are actually missing, but only 1 episode, the final episode, known as The Time of the Icebox, still exists as its original colour videotape. There are varying stories on why exactly this is. One claims that when Central took over they ordered all possible tapes be wiped for reuse, while another source claims that the tapes were so badly damaged and in poor, unbroadcastable quality they had no choice but to destroy them, meaning the black and white copies are the only example we have of the first 25 episodes, as the colour versions are now lost forever. Down on the Farm was a British television series which aired in 1939 on the BBC. The series featured A.G. Street and was about work on the farm. The series aired monthly and likely ended due to suspension of the BBC television service due to World War II on the 1st of September 1939. It was broadcast live and no recording is thought to have ever existed. Thought to be lost for decades, the original film negatives for Wurzel Gummidge were located and catalogued by researchers Richard Laddo and Stuart Manning in 2018. It is hoped that a high-definition restoration can be undertaken for all the episodes. So far, only one episode, the Christmas special, has been restored from the film negatives and placed on DVD. The rest of them remain unreleased as of 2021. Also found was an unseen animated pilot episode, left abandoned and forgotten about for 20 years. This would be the last time that Jon Pertwee and Una Stubbs worked together before the show officially ended. Ending it was a 1939 BBC TV one-off play, written by Val Gielgud and starring John Robinson and Dino Galvani. It was 30 minutes in duration. It was broadcast live on the 25th of August. It is now lost, and no recording is thought to have ever existed. The most unusual aspect of the production was that it was later remade for Australian television in 1957, at a time when Australian drama production was rare. It was directed by William Sterling. Broadcast live on Sydney station ABN2 on the 19th of June 1957, a telerecording was made of the broadcast, and later shown on Melbourne television station ABV2 on the 19th of July 1957. It is not known if the recording still exists. The Orchestra and Its Instruments was a British television programme that aired in 1937 on the BBC. It was one of the earliest documentary series produced for British television. The Orchestra and Its Instruments debuted on the 5th of January 1937, hosted by Philip Thornton. The series discussed the different instruments on a symphony orchestra, aired in a 20-minute time slot. It was broadcast live and no recording is thought to have ever existed. Martin Chuzzlewit was first adapted by the BBC in 1964, based on the novel by Charles Dickens. It starred Gary Raymond as the titular character. No recordings of the production on either audio or video are known to exist, and is presumed lost. A Tale of Two Cities was adapted by the BBC in 1965 and broadcast on BBC One. It starred Patrick Troughton as Dr. Manette, Nicholas Pennell as Charles Darnay, and Kika Markham as Lucy Manette. Out of the 10 episodes produced, 8 are believed to be lost. It was directed by Joan Craft and produced by Campbell Logan, who are known for the popularisation of Dickens serials throughout the 1960s and 70s. The BBC first adapted The Old Curiosity Shop as a 13-part serial in 1962. It starred Patrick Troughton in one of his most recognisable roles from the time, evident in the fact that many people still fondly remember it to this day. No recordings are known to exist, leaving it lost. Here with the Wake was another one of Joan Craft's many contributions to the BBC, a 16-part serial that, like much of her work, did not survive the wiping policy. It was based on the novel by Charles Kingsley, a novel that told the real story of the Anglo-Saxon nobleman and leader of the local resistance to the Norman conquest of England. Reviews at the time were largely positive, but it is only remembered by those lucky enough to have seen it when it first aired in 1965. Comedy Playhouse is fondly remembered as being the show that launched Steptoe and Son, as well as Meet the Wife and The Walrus and the Carpenter. It aired a different story with different characters every week, each with the potential to become its own series, or simply be remembered as a one-time comical output to British television. Several episodes are considered to be lost, such as all from Series 1 except the Offer pilot that became Steptoe and Son, and Have You Read This Notice from Series 2. Since the recovery of the All Gas and Gators pilot in 2001, there has been nothing else. 4 minutes of BBC TV from 1938 was a video I found, believed to be one of the earliest surviving examples of British television. The actual content on the screen is extremely difficult to identify, especially since documentation and surviving photographs from the era are mostly missing or not publicly available, but it appears to be some kind of play. Here is the description given by YouTube user Josh Bernard. This 4-minute compilation from 1938 exists only because of a technological fluke and the enthusiasm of 2 television buffs, one in Britain and the other in America where, thanks to freak atmospheric conditions, it was picked up and recorded on a sign camera placed in front of a television screen as the images came in. Andrew Emerson, the British enthusiast, spent 5 years tracking down the recording and believes it is the only surviving example of pre-war, live, high-definition British television. You get the idea. There's a lot out there that doesn't exist anymore, or at least can't be seen publicly, and it's very unfortunate. Preservation just wasn't all that important back then, and no one really cared about what they were making. At least the corporations didn't. Every production was just another performance and another moneymaker that ultimately didn't matter in the long run because something would always come afterwards. However, let it be said that a fair amount of material does exist in the archive. For the 75th anniversary of the BBC, the corporation posted to its official YouTube channel a timeline of their output over the preceding 7.5 decades, with plenty of historically significant recordings being preserved. Not just the BBC, but a lot of channels still have a record of many programs in their archives. Here are some examples. Episodes of Picture Page, a George Robery performance from 1936, Leslie Mitchell Golfers in Action, the Outside broadcast from 1936 to 1937, an off-air signed film recording of the 1937 coronation, a behind-the-scenes recording of Jasmine Bligh reopening the BBC television service in 1946 after the war ended, Petula Clark and Don Quixote de la Manchan's Television is Here Again performances from 1936, episodes of Muffin and the Mule from 1946 to 1952, Peter Ustinov speaking personally in 1951, Eileen Fowler's Keep Fit from 1958, 156 1960s episodes of Doctor Who, all of Steptoe and Son, all of 1970s Doctor Who in fully restored colour, several news reports between 1956 and 1969, the experimental colour test recording from 1959, the 1964 announcement that BBC Two suffered from power failure, Ask Xena Skinner from 1970, 50 episodes of Two of a Kind, almost 70 episodes of The Morecambe and Wise Show, 20 episodes of Out of the Unknown, and full audio recordings, photographs, and brief clips of many shows that are still missing in their original format. Even if they destroyed and lost a lot, they still managed to keep a lot of it too. I hope you learned something new today, and if you or anyone you know knows of any film copies of the programs mentioned, or some I may have forgotten, don't be afraid to hand them over. These shows are our nation's history and they're important. Please visit Wikipedia, tvbrain.info, and various other easily findable websites documenting lost shows for more information. Contact Kaleidoscope, lostshows.com, the BBC themselves, ITV, or even the BFI, and please donate any lost shows you may have in your possession. Thank you for watching and or listening. Have a good day.